Jasmine wasn't supposed to find it. She wasn't snooping. She was just cleaning out her late fiance's apartment, the one they were meant to move into together. The place still smelled like him. Pine body wash, old leather couch, coffee he never finished drinking. It had been 11 days since the incident. 11 days since Caleb was hit by a delivery truck while crossing Ninth Street. 11 days while she stopped feeling like a person. The drawer in his desk had always been jammed. She hated that drawer. Jammed when she was looking for a pen, jammed when she tried to hide her snacks from him, jammed when she once tried to shove a last minute birthday gift inside. That drawer's is cause. Babe, he used to joke. If it ever opens on its own, the world's ending. She laughed back then. Now it's creaked open, just like that. No tug, no yank, no cuss, just quiet and open. Inside was one envelope, yellowed a little at the edge. No stamp, no name, just the worst in the writing. Do not read ever. Jasmine froze. Her fingers trembled. Why would he keep a sealed letter? Why hide it? Why not throw it out if it wasn't meant to be read? She stared at it for an hour, then longer, then picked it up. It was heavy, like it carried more than just paper. She sat on the floor, back against the desk, and whispered, I'm sorry, Caleb. Then she opened it. The first line made her stomach twist. Jasmine, if you're reading this, it means I never got the chance to tell you the truth. She blinked. What truth? He had no secret. He loved her. He made her pancakes shaped like hearts. He kissed her forehead every morning. They were solid. But the second line shattered her. I wasn't supposed to fall in love with you because when we met, I was already engaged to someone else. Jasmine's breath caught. She gripped the edge of the paper so hard it tore slightly. This had to be a joke or a prank or some unfinished story, but she knew Caleb's handwriting. She knew the tone of his voice, even on paper, and he sounded broken. The letter continued. I told myself I would end it, that I will explain, that you deserved the truth before we go too far. But then you smiled at me on that cold October night, and I couldn't imagine a world where I would be the reason your heart broke. So I lied. I kept lying until my whole life became a quiet kind of guilt. I loved you, Jasmine, so much more than I ever meant to. But if something ever happens to me, please know you were real, even if I wasn't. Jasmine dropped the letter. Tears blurred her vision. She wanted to scream, to burn it, to dig up his grave and ask him if it was all fake. But she was just there. She sat down just there, heart cracked wide open, soul drowning in a truth she never asked for, because the man she was about to marry had written her a love letter that was never meant to be read. Jasmine couldn't sleep that night. She didn't even make it to her bed. She sat on the hardwood floor of Caleb's old story until the sun came up. Later still in her lap, eyes swollen from crying, thoughts running in circles. Every memory now felt poisoned. The way he touched her hair, the night he told her she was the only one, the time he surprised her with a necklace after her job interview. Was any of it real? Was she just a beautiful distraction? She read the letter again and again. Each time, one line screamed louder than the others. I wasn't supposed to fall in love with you. By noon, she was holding her phone, sweaty fingers, blank screen, and nauseous. She typed Caleb Daniels' engagement in Google, nothing. But then she remembered something else, the old shoe box. It was shoved under his shoe. She never opened it. He said it had past junk and Jasmine respected boundaries, but now there were no boundaries left. She found it inside some birthday cards, old movie stubs, and a photo. One photo. Caleb standing next to a girl in a white sundress, her arms around him, a ring on her finger. On the back, Emma and C. Engagement Party 2018. Jasmine's stomach dropped. Her hands moved faster than her brain. She searched Facebook, Instagram, anything. Eventually, there she was, Emma Wallace, private account, but her profile picture said enough. Same girl, different ring, no Caleb, no mention of him in her bio, but Jasmine had seen enough. She clicked messages. Jasmine, hi Emma, I know this is random, but did you know Caleb Daniels? She stared at the screen, heartbreak in her throat. 3 minutes, no response. Then the typing bubble appeared. Emma, yes, who are you? Jasmine typed slowly. He was my fiancé. He died 11 days ago. Then Emma replied, I know. Emma said again, I was at the funeral from a distance. Jasmine froze. What? I didn't come to be seen. I just needed to see he was really gone. Now Jasmine was shaking. Were you still together? No. We ended things 3 years ago. But there's something you should know. Jasmine's chest tightened. What? A long pause, then a message came through, not text, an image. It was a scan of a handwritten letter, also in Emma's handwriting. It was addressed to Emma, and the first line read, I met someone new. I think she might be my way out of everything we ruined. Jasmine stared at the screen. Caleb had written letters to both of them, two women, two timelines, two truths. And suddenly, Jasmine realized something chilling. The letter she found might not have been the only one. Jasmine didn't eat for 2 days. The letter, the photo, Emma, everything swirled in her mind like a storm without an end. She told herself not to go back to Caleb's apartment again, but grief doesn't listen to logic. Pain doesn't follow others. So 3 days later, at sunset, Jasmine found herself back in that cursed apartment with keys still on her ring and her heart in pieces. She walked in slowly, like the walls might collapse if she stepped too hard. The place was still looking like home, but it didn't feel like it. Not anymore. She walked straight to the desk, that damned desk. She had already opened the top drawer, the one with the letter, but now her eyes settled on the bottom one, the one with the child-proof lock. She remembered Caleb joking about it. That drawer is just full of boring stuff, bank stuff, maybe old keys. You don't need to see all that. He always brushed it off, but now Jasmine wasn't brushing anything off. She searched every cabinet, every shelf, until she found a small key tapped under the desk drawer. He hid it in plain sight. Her hand trembled as she turned the key. The drawer clicked. Inside, a bubble of letters, stacked neatly, tied with string. 7 envelopes, each one had a name written in Caleb's handwriting. Emma, Jasmine, Mom, Dad, to myself, to the one I couldn't save, to the one who shouldn't have found this. Jasmine froze. That last one felt like a trap. She untied the bundle and looked at each envelope, her breath shallow. What was this? A confession box? A final box soul? She reached for the one with her name, but something made her stop. Instead, she opened the letter marked to the one who shouldn't have found this. It read, "If your hands are on this paper, then it means I failed. It means my secret lived longer than I did. And now you're reading pieces of me I never had the courage to speak. I'm sorry, not for what I did, but for what I didn't do, for not telling the truth when it mattered, for loving two people the wrong way, for trying to fix one life by ruining two others. If this hurts you, I deserve that. If you hate me, I earned it. But if you're still reading, maybe somehow you loved me too, and maybe you understand what I was running from." Jasmine sat there, letter in hand, heart in free fall. She hadn't even opened the one addressed to her yet, and already she felt like she knew a different version of Caleb. Not the one who cooked with her, not the one who kissed her knuckles when she was anxious, but a man with demons, secrets, and letters. So many letters. She opened the one to herself next. Inside were words she didn't wasn't ready to hear. Jazz, I asked you to marry me knowing you would never know the full story. You deserve better than what I gave you. But every smile, every touch, every time I looked at you, I wasn't faking it. I was just hoping the truth would disappear if I loved you hard enough. You made me want to be clean, to be good, to be someone you could trust, but I was never, and I was not. I'm sorry, I never told you the rest, especially about her. Because the biggest lie I ever told you wasn't that I love you, it's that I had stopped loving her. Jasmine dropped the letter and clutched her chest. Tears didn't come this time, only silence and the echo of a man she never truly knew. But the line that haunted her most was the one she didn't understand, especially about her. Who was her? It wasn't Emma. Emma was old news. There were there was someone else, someone Caleb had never told her or Emma about. And Jasmine was about to find out who. Jasmine couldn't feel her hands. She had been holding too many ghosts, 7 letters, 7 pieces of truth, but one name kept replaying in her head. The her he never explained. The one he said he never stopped loving. The one who wasn't Emma. The one who came after, or maybe before, or maybe never left. She reached for the final unopened letter, to the one I couldn't save. Her breath caught. This one felt heavier. She didn't open right away. She stared at the handwriting. She traced the crease. Then finally, with the kind of courage that only the broken possess, she tore the flap open. Inside was a sheet, folded once, no greeting, no dear, just a name written across the top, Ava. I don't know how to start this, so I won't pretend I do. You were the first person I ever truly loved. The first person I let see me completely shattered and still stayed. And I let you slip through my fingers like nothing mattered because I thought I had time. But time lied. You left this world with questions and I never got to answer them. So here it is. Even if it's too late, I'm sorry I wasn't with you at the hospital. I was scared. Not of your illness, not of death, but of the guilt that I let you carry it alone. They said you asked for me over and over. I never showed up because I couldn't face what I did to you. You deserved my presence. You got my absence. And I've hated myself every day since. Every woman I met after you, I measured them against your ghost. They were kind, beautiful, and whole, but they weren't you because none of them had my soul like you did. Eva, I've built 100 new lives, but they all led back to one night. When I left the hospital parking lot, I never walked in. Jasmine dropped the letter. Her throat tightened. Ava, someone dying, someone he abandoned, not just emotionally, physically. She googled her name. Ava Torres, obituary, Los Angeles, 2019. She clicked. 24 years old, passed from leukemia, survived by her mother, younger brother, and a boyfriend. Name not listed. But Jasmine didn't need it listed. She knew it was Caleb. She paced the room, heart racing. This wasn't just a tragic love story, it was a burial ground of secrets, and Jasmine was just now digging through the last layer of dirt. Caleb had once confessed to being emotionally complicated. Now she understood why. He never forgave himself. He carried Ava's memory like a wound that never closed, and every woman after that, including Jasmine. She was chasing the ghost of the girl he couldn't save, but there was one more envelope. It was smaller than the rest. It had no name, just one sentence scribbled across the front. Burn after reading. Jasmine held her breath. Was she supposed to? Would she? She opened it anyway. Inside was a photo. It showed Caleb and Ava on a beach. She was bowed from chemo. She was kissing her forehead. On the back, he had written one line. This was the day I swore I would never fall in love again. I broke that promise the day I met Jasmine. Her knees buckled. She sat there in the silence, letter on her chest, photo in her hand. He had loved them both. One haunted him, one healed him, and now she was left with the truth. Beautiful, ugly, honest, unforgivable. 3 days. That's how long Jasmine stayed in silence. She barely ate, barely spoke. The only thing she did was read and reread every single letter. Caleb was gone, but his voice, his pain, his guilt, his truth was louder than ever. She hadn't told Emma, not yet. She wasn't ready, because once she told Emma, everything would change. On the fourth morning, Jasmine took the letters, tied them back in the same string, and walked to a park Caleb once took her to. She sat under the same tree where he told her he loved her for the first time. She pulled out a pen and paper. She began to write a letter of her own, now to Caleb, not to Caleb, not to Eva, not to Emma, to herself. You didn't see the red flags because you were in love. You stayed because you believed in second chances. You read the letters because the truth deserved to be heard. And now you carry pieces of a man who loved deeply but lied constantly. This pain isn't a punishment, it's a rebirth. You can forgive him and still walk away. You can honor the love and still reject the lies. You can mourn the man but protect his heart. And you can also mourn the man but protect your heart. You can be broken and still choose to heal. When she finished, she folded her letter and placed it inside the bundle of Caleb's. Then, with tears in her eyes, she stood, walked to the small river by the park, and dropped the entire bundle into the river. The letter floated, then slowly sank, and with them a weight lifted from her chest. Jasmine didn't go back to the apartment again. She gave the keys to the landlord. She deleted the photos from her phone, but she didn't delete the memory, because pain, when honored, doesn't destroy you, it shapes you. 1 month later, she showed up at a bookstore in downtown LA. There, seated near the window, was Emma. Jasmine walked in slowly, nervously, holding a single envelope. When Emma saw her, she stood up in surprise. Before Ida could speak, Jasmine handed her the envelope. This was meant for you, she said quietly. I read something I shouldn't have, but it led me to something you deserved to know. And then Jasmine turned and walked away. Emma opened the envelope, and that night, it wasn't a letter from Caleb, it was Jasmine's letter, her own words, her own truth, and attached a photo of Caleb and Eva smiling, fragile, real. Emma cried, but not from heartbreak, from clarity. She finally understood why Caleb always seemed half present, why his smiles never reached his eyes. He was haunted, and now he wasn't. Now they weren't. 1 year later, Jasmine stood in front of a small classroom in a community college, reading her published essay out loud. I once loved a man who never told me his whole story, so I wrote my own. We are not the lies we've been told, we are the truths we choose to speak. She looked up at the young women watching her, eyes wide, notebooks open. They had no idea this all started with a letter that was never meant to be read.